Hey everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Interstellar Modeler. What I'd like to do in this video is talk to you a little bit about resin model kits. Now, resin is a different material than plastic, and so there are a few other things you need to do when building a resin kit. And especially if you're a beginner, I'd like to share with you some of my experience with this material and hopefully give you some pointers. So resin model kits started to become really popular in the late 90s and early 2000s. With the advent of the internet, it became possible to get your hands on all sorts of things, and certainly there was demand for model kits that just weren't available through the major manufacturers, and this was a way to get them out. These model kits are usually produced by small manufacturers, and what I do like about these kits is that a lot of times these guys who make these kits are certainly fans of the show or the movie, and so they will definitely work to give you a kit that is fairly accurate. So what are some advantages with resin? Well, I think first of all you can find unique model kits. They're usually models that will probably never be produced on the mass market. It takes a lot of money to produce such a kit, and so if there's not a huge demand, we're never going to see them. So it gives you the opportunity to get a hold of and own some unique pieces that you can add to your collection. I'd say one big disadvantage to the resin kits is really the expense. Because these are not produced by major manufacturers, you're going to find that most resin kits are fairly expensive. But if it's a piece you really want, you can save up your money, and again, you'll end up with a nice kit here that you can add to your collection. Alright, so I do not have an unbuilt kit, so I'm going to start here with one of my favorite kits that I have in my collection, and that is here the Delta Flyer from Voyager. So when you first get your resin kit, because resin is a material that you pour into a mold, you can first of all see some irregularities on the surface. Now, if you have a nice clean mold, you won't see a lot of it, so hopefully you won't have to have too much work done. But if you do have some of these air bubbles and things that will form on the surface of a kit, you're going to need to take care of that. So the first thing you're going to do first is wash the model. You want to thoroughly wash it and get all the oils off of it, because it's going to be much easier to work with, and when you're ready to paint the model, it at least provides a surface that the paint will bind to. Now, as I mentioned, there can be some irregularities on the surface that you'll need to putty and sand. So when you sand resin, the one thing you do have to be careful of is the dust that comes off of this material, which can be toxic. So please take a precaution and utilize a mask such as this. This has these cartridges here that help to protect you from any particles that could be toxic. So just make sure you're wearing something like that, work in an open environment, and also something else you might want to consider to keep the dust from flying all over the place is wet sanding, and that's simply just to take the sandpaper and wet it and sand the model that way, and then you will keep a lot of the particles from flying everywhere. Alright, so once you've completed dealing with the surface irregularities or sanding and all that sort of stuff, you want to prime the kit. So the first thing you want to do is get yourself a good primer. This one's by Duplicolor, and I find it works real well with resin. The one mistake I did make early on was not use the correct primer, and also did not allow the model to dry properly. So when you place your primer onto the surface, you want to give the model a good amount of time to dry. You might even want to set the model aside for a day or two and let the primer set real nicely. And that way, when you go to paint your model, and if you need to mask certain areas, the paint won't come right off. And that's what happened with me when I didn't do the proper steps. So again, get yourself a good primer and let it dry. Alright, so the adhesives that you want to use basically amount to super glue. This is a cyanoacrylate glue that I got at my hobby store. And I personally like to use the extra thick formula here because it gives me a little bit more control. Again, regular model cement won't work with resin. And whether you use this stuff or not is up to you. This is an Instaset liquid. I have found this useful lately using super glue with some other model kits I've been working with. I didn't really use this when I worked with resin, but it might work just fine. It just allows the super glue to bind a lot faster and set a lot faster. So something you might want to consider as well. Now, the nice thing about garage kits is that they do tend to strive for accuracy. I have found sometimes it's even they can be even more accurate than the commercially available kits that you find, because they definitely take the time. Usually these are true fans that do it for the love of it, and so they're going to strive for accuracy. So I wanted to begin again here with the Delta Flyer. This is a ship that probably won't ever be available on the market. This of course is from Star Trek Voyager. This kit measures about 12 inches in length, and as you can see, it is a pretty accurate kit. I remember when I got this kit, I looked at numerous illustrations online and photos online, and they really did a decent job putting this kit together. This was obtained from FederationModels.com. Again, a lot of these kits you can get from that website or culttvman.com. And the ship came with a decal sheet, which was fairly easy to work with. And yeah, so once the surface was primed here, I used my Tester's light gray color, which is my favorite color to use with Starfleet ships, and then a few other color variations, which I'm afraid I don't remember exact colors I used here, but it's basically like a tan color, I believe, here. And as you can see, it turned out quite nice. So the kit was airbrushed and detailed using acrylic paints. And then again, the decals are applied, and as you can see, it's a pretty accurate replica. Now, I've shown this one to you before in a previous video, and this is the shuttle pod from the Next Generation. And so this kit's fairly small, but it was a pretty cool kit to get a hold of. Very easy to work with. This one I didn't have to do much modification with this. It basically came in just 3 pieces with the 2 engine pods here and the main body itself. And here is another unique model. This is the shuttle from the old Galactica series. I got this one off FederationModels.com. In fact, all of these I got off of FederationModels.com. I'm not sure if this is available still, but you know, I saw this on their website and I just really wanted to have it. Unfortunately, this one is not as accurate as I'd want it to be. The shuttle on the show was a bit more angled here, but nonetheless it makes a fairly decent replica of the ship. This one came in a few different pieces, including the main body, the engine pieces, and the I don't know if you call these antenna or sensors, as well as the feet here. Fairly straightforward to work with here. Again, after washing it and applying a primer, I used light gray with this ship too, and I used pastels to detail the surface to give it its weathered look. And a few other examples of some resin kits here are weapons, and you can find a number of these kits on eBay. This is the Galactica Reimagined series now, the blaster from the pilot and some of the first season from that show, which I think, to me, it's a shame they didn't stick with. I always thought this gun looked more futuristic than the ones they ended up using. But this is one solid piece here, and really wasn't much constructing, more this was just painting. And for all you older sci-fi fans out there, if you can recognize this, this is the blaster from a movie called Logan's Run. And this movie was produced in the 70s, I believe. And this is the blaster that was seen in the movie, which I've always wanted one. In the movie, the blaster would light up here at the front, and you'd see this fire shoot out every time they shot the blaster. And but this is a non-working kit. You can actually find kits of this blaster that are actually working. They'll have gas canisters here that when you press the button, the flames will shoot out in that starburst sort of effect. But this is a non-working model. This one in particular was purchased at a website called monstersinmotion.com, and they also have a number of different resin kits available too on that website, including Star Trek kits as well as many others. So you can certainly check that out as well. Okay, and one last piece to share with you is the blaster from the original Battlestar Galactica series. This, of course, is the 1970s TV show, and personally, I always thought this weapon was pretty awesome. And so when I saw this kit available, I just had to have it. I bought this a number of years ago, and this is a prime example of how a lot of these garage kits can be very accurate. These guys do strive for accuracy. This kit comes as one piece, and you can find it painted, or you can just build it, or I should say paint it yourself, because there's really nothing to build. And and you can still find it available on websites like Monsters in Motion or eBay. You just have to look for it. But it is an awesome piece to have, and also an example of how you can get something that's very unique. You can't just go to the toy store or a model shop and pick this up. But once you get it and you display it, you have something that's very unique here to add to your collection. So again, the blaster from the Battlestar Galactica 1970s TV series. Okay, so hopefully that gave you at least a brief introduction to working with resin, and you can see by this small collection here that there is the opportunity to obtain unique models for your collection by working with these kits. And you know, once you get the hang of it, it's really not too bad to work with. Overall, I still prefer the styrene kits. I think they're a little easier for me to work with anyway. But again, if there's a ship out there that you really want in your collection, this is really a good way to go. So anyway, that's it for now. This is a shorter video here. I just wanted to kind of give you some pointers on working with this material. If you have any questions, feel free to email me. And otherwise, I, as always, am glad that you check out my videos, and I will see you in the next one. I am due to build some more models here shortly, and I will post more videos as we go along. So thanks again for watching. I really appreciate it. Take care.